Welcome to Design Diary, the podcast where you get to look inside my board game design notebook as well as what's going on inside my head. We look at a new word each day from the sense of mechanics, tone, theme, or inspiration for a full game. Today's word is
Garrulous, given to prosy, rambling, or tedious loquacity, pointlessly or annoyingly talkative, using or containing many and usually too many words, wordy. A few quick notes before we start. One is that we had an unintentional 5-day break here where I sort of lost my mind on a Kickstarter project. It was very successful, but everything else suffered. So my diary sat abandoned for 5 days. It's the first time since we started this podcast, so that was a little bit of a bummer, but it just was impossible to do anything except for hit refresh the entire time. Second of all, I started a new notebook. So I got this fancy new notebook, so I wanted a fresh start and dusted off this microphone. And here we go. So garrulous is where we go. Rambling. Sort of a fitting topic. Anyway, initial thoughts. Did we do this before? With episode 61, Meander. Is a little bit along the same lines. But to me, the most annoyingly talkative person of all time is an NPC in a video game, especially in the very beginning as you're starting out. So I'm thinking of games like Paper Mario or something along those lines where it's 30 minutes of conversation and story and everything before you get to play the game. Now, as somebody who loves story, I don't like slogging through it and just especially when you want to play a game, it's just come on, let's have the story in the game and not before the game. But anyway, that's one of those things where I just don't want to stop every 2 seconds and read about, whatever it is, the hero that's no longer there. I just want to play the game. So then I wrote gameplay mechanics. I started to think of this as the opposite of meander and how to be as brief as possible. It's sort of, I'm not going to say against the rules, but I was inspired by meander to not meander. So being as brief as possible. Imagine a co-op game where conversation is just very, very limited. And I think we've all seen games like this. Starship Babel is one that we did here at Button Shy, where you can only say one word per turn, and those words are in a made-up alien language. And then everybody has to take that one word and decide what they think other players are doing, and all choose their action for the turn. I've seen other games that do it as well. Even ones that just restrict what you're allowed to say, like something like Hanabi or something along those lines. So I thought, how about you can say only a certain amount of new words per turn, but you can use words that were defined and established by other players as much as you'd like. So each turn you define a new word, and then maybe use it in a sentence or example, and then you take your turn speaking to the group. And your speaking to the group should be choosing what you are doing. And that was the whole idea for a co-op, is that we are working together, and this is what we're going to do this turn, and maybe we do a vote for it or something along those lines. So to take this up a notch, I thought maybe the game is just the game's out on the table, and then there's a whole bunch of index cards or something that's used for the language. A word is made and it's defined. And then you can pull from the pool of words to discuss and plan for your turns. And I'd like to see some other limitation there. And if you start out with no words, how do you define a word? Things like that. And, the other limitations can be you can't do miming to other players because the miming replaces language. I also thought words are written and distributed, and then you must take your actions with the words that you get. So the order can make a difference. I get move 3 red spaces. So I can move red 3 spaces. So I can move the red player 3 spaces on my turn, which, if we're doing a co-op, it can help us. If we're competitive, maybe it doesn't. I can do something bad for that red player. Or I can do red, move 3 spaces. So I can tell the red player, move 3 spaces, and it gives them the choice of where they want to move. And that's just a really, really basic example But just having this pool of words to choose from, or being, dealt some words to choose from, it could be interesting. And you can choose to use them, or you can choose to save them, and hopefully build up for another turn where you get some more words that you want. Maybe if you save them, you get the person with the most words gets first choice next turn. So you've been building up these words, and now it means you haven't used them, so you get choice to get some other words, and that's going to let you make your better sentences. Maybe words are used for bidding. You can build them all up, and then I can bid 3 words for first pick, which is one of those, I love turn order, but I love gamifying it, so that's cool too. So I'm going to go back a little line in my notes. I said this also reminds me of filibuster, which makes me think of a player getting a stage to state their thoughts and opinions. I could see this in a negotiation-style game where a player is given an opportunity to, plead to the other players for as long as they want or as long as time allows. I have no idea what can be accomplished by that, other than a distraction, maybe. And it doesn't have to be physically I'm talking or whatever, but all eyes up on here. So, we've all got our tokens on the map of a city or whatever. I say all eyes up on here. Everybody has to turn, and whatever their back is to, is open for this round. And we can send in our criminals behind their backs to steal things or whatever it might be. And then finally, going back to the annoying, long-winded NPCs, I can imagine time being an asset in a game. And you can spend time to listen to somebody. But you don't have that time later to actually do things. I wrote you can gain tips, but you have less time to act. Now, some of those people could just talk on and on and on and never get to a point, which gets me to the annoyance of the NPCs in an early video game. And maybe it's a little bit of a press your luck thing. You get so much time when you start out a game, and who you're going to talk to and who you're going to listen to, and where you're going to cut someone off and just move to the next, or you're going to wait them out. It doesn't sound like the most fun thing ever, but there might be something there. I don't know. So thank you for joining me in another episode of Design Diary, which is back after this mini hiatus. And if you haven't joined us on Board Game Geek, we have a thriving thread there in the design forum section, which I should link somewhere. And every other method of, social media. Just design your games, and if you come up with something, share it with us, because this is fun. Thanks again. I'll see you tomorrow.